June 10th, Monday, here we are, another episode of Let There Be Talk. Thank you for joining me. Fantastic weather today. It's a cooker out there. It's a cooker in Los Angeles. One of the first kind of super hot days, and I ain't mad at it. As the kids used to say in the 90s, I ain't mad at it. Welcome aboard, everybody. Thanks for tuning in like you always do every week. I am very happy for that. And if you are a new listener, I am very happy for that also. Here we are, fantastic guest today. You like a little 4-string bass guitar action? You into some rock and roll? Then you come to the right place. My guest today is Jeff Pilson, bass player for Foreigner, but you know him, well-famed Dokken bass player. This guy's played with everybody. He's done all kinds of stuff, and I love having other guys on the show that aren't the lead front man or the guitar player. You know, you got to give the glory to the bass player, the drummers, the keyboard players. It's a whole thing, man. Carting around a fucking SVT. You know how big and heavy those are? Playing 4 strings, not getting a lot of glory unless you were somebody like Carlos from Interpol or John Paul Jones. Some of the big, famous bass players over our time, Geddy Lee. You know what I'm talking about. Bass players are badass. I fell in love with bass when I first heard Lakeside back in the day. Bumping that song all the way live, then dove deep into the bass players. Bootsy Collins, king of the bass in my eyes. Anyway, Jeff Pilson, old friend. I've known this guy, not close or anything, but we grew up in the Bay Area, weaved in and out of the rock and roll scene, and then he moved to LA and bam, joined Dokken, and it was on. He's also a great producer. He's done a lot of studio work. He sings great. He's a songwriting machine. And in the early days of my young kid going to concerts, I would see him play with Randy Hansen, who was the Hendrix extraordinaire tribute master. If you've never seen Randy Hansen, that is definitely something to check out. He's still out there doing it. Over 40 years, maybe longer. I first started, definitely longer. I first started seeing him when I was like, I guess around 12 or 13 down there at the Phoenix Theater or the Stone or, wherever. This Randy Hansen played everywhere. And then, of course, I would see Jeff playing in Mike Varney's band, Cinema. This guy is a staple in the music scene. He's 60 years old, and he's played music probably 45 years of those years being alive. Anyway, it was great to have him on, and we dove into all kinds of stuff. We talked a lot of Zeppelin. He played at that O2 Arena gig. He was playing bass for Foreigner when Zeppelin played. I think that was back in 06. And he also saw Zeppelin in 72. I don't really listen to much Dokken these days. I do love George. I had him on. I've had Don on. Don's great. But when I was young, wow, did I blaze some Dokken. Around 84, Tooth and Nail came out. September of 84, my last year of high school. I had a Toyota Tercel in a burgundy shitty ugly color, but it was the greatest car ever because it was the Freedom Machine. You know, your first car, that Freedom Machine. It had the cassette player with the power booster in the glove box, the graphic EQ. And I got Tooth and Nail on cassette, and I popped that thing in and absolutely lost my mind. Tooth and Nail was a smasher of a record. A smasher of a record. I absolutely love it. And if you go back and check it out, it's kind of an underrated rock record from the 80s. It really is. The tunes on it were just mind-boggling. I loved it. Without Warning, Tooth and Nail, Just Got Lucky. just smoker. Into the Fire. Alone Again. One of those super make-out ballads. Alone Again. Anyway, great guest to have on today. Thank you, Jeff, for doing the show. And check out his latest project with George, The End Machine, which is out right now on Frontier Records. Check that out. So it's great that those guys still weaving it in and out, playing together here and there. What's going on? Hey, I do want to tell you guys something right away. I know how you guys love free stuff. That's why you listen to this podcast, because it's free. Some of you are over there on the Patreon world. Let's give a little shout out to the Patreoners. If you do want to join Patreon for all your bonus episodes, it's patreon.com/Dean Del Rey. Brand new Patreoners, Chad Pollock. What else we got? Look at this guy here, Stephen Dow. He upped the game. He upped his donation. Thank you. We welcome back an old friend who it was great to see all weekend, Greg Riley. I'll get more into that in a minute. Greg Riley, welcome aboard. Javier Diaz, thank you for your donation. And Jason Stratton, coming in strong. Jason Stratton is the King Del Raiser this week, who flew in to see the gig at La Jolla Comedy Store. I just headlined there 5 shows this weekend. 3 of them were sold out. So that was fantastic. And I was running the hour and I felt pretty fucking good. I gotta say, I felt good. The microdosing is keeping me focused. People, the microdosing is working. Focus is strong. No more foggy ADD. Anyway, Greg Riley was there, and he's been one of the greatest supporters of Let There Be Talk and my comedy since day one, and I just absolutely love that guy. You remember him from the El Cajon Harley ad days. El Cajon Harley, give him a little shout out there. If you need a motorcycle, go see Greg and Brett, man. Those guys are just awesome. It was great to see all those guys down there. They rode the choppers down to La Jolla Comedy Store, shook up the rich people there in La Jolla. Whoa, came riding in. People were like, oh no. Anyway, great weekend. But what I wanted to tell you about real quick is I know you guys like free stuff, and I've been trying this Harry's razors, and I'm telling you, this razor is fantastic. No bullshit there. I absolutely love this product. Harrys.com/Del-Rey. Phenomenal shaver. I love the feel of the handle. I'm such a goon when it comes to, I'm like, ooh, look at the design. But it's no joke. It's no joke. I love the design of this Harry's, the whole setup of their shaving handle. Their blades are amazing. No dumb gimmicks like vibrating heads or flex balls. That stuff's so dumb. Or handles that look like spaceships. All that dumb stuff. This is just very simple, primo setup. The blades are ultra sharp and they're so smooth. I love this stuff. Hey, this is an ad, but I'm telling you, I would use this no matter what. This is the blades I'm going to be using for now on. I absolutely love them. Harry's founders were tired of paying up for razors that were overpriced, just like you guys. It's stupid. You go to the store, they got them locked in a case. They're like $20 for 2 blades. That stuff's, stop with that. Go to harrys.com/Del-Rey and get a free trial offer. It's a $13 value. You just pay $3 shipping. Who cares? But you're going to get a blade, a handle, and some lathering shave gel that I absolutely love that works great, and a travel blade cover. All that stuff. Get on this. It helps the podcast, but it also helps your face. They've received over 20,000 5-star reviews. That's insane. 20,000. I love it. I personally am using this. I'm not lying. I'll take a picture and show it to you. I'll shower and do an Instagram video, and you can watch me shower, you freaks. I shave in the shower. Harrys.com/Delray. Go there right now. Tell them I sent you. All right, some upcoming shows. Got some great shows coming up here. Connecticut, East Coast. Here I come. The Comics at, what is that? Comics at the Roadhouse there at the Mohican Sun. Hit that. July 18, 19, 20. Don't sleep on these shows. I'm coming back to the East Coast. Then I go back to the Las Vegas Comedy Cellar at the Rio Hotel, July 22nd through the 28th. I'm doing Nashville one night, Del Razors, at the High Watt Rock Club, August 24th. That's going to be cool. Those are all on the website today. Get tickets immediately. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I love all you guys. Let's get with it here. Episode number 480. Keeping the candles lit, Mr. Jeff Pilson. It's another episode of Let Them Be Talk. Jeff Pilson today. How
yes, hello. I'm absolutely wonderful. Beautiful day here.
Dude, I did you play one of my AC/DC birthday bashes years ago in San Francisco at the Stone? Did you do that? My tributes to Bond?
That would have been a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, like I'm talking 80s.
Okay, now you're asking me to remember something.
Yeah, maybe
okay,
early.
That's kind of dangerous.
I feel like you did, but I can't remember. I go way back with you. You don't really probably remember me, but I used to go see cinema.
Well, when you said the Stone, that's the first thing I thought of, because we were the very first rock band to ever play the Stone.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Cinema was?
Cinema was.
How did that happen? Like,
well, it just happened to be opening when we happened to be starting to play, and we had done the rock opera Rock Justice around town in San Francisco. So we kind of had, and Rock Justice had actually done quite well. So, around the city. So when the Stone opened, it was opened by the same people that did the Keystone Berkeley and all that.
Yeah, Freddie, who just passed away last week.
I did not know that.
I know, I didn't either. All of a sudden, Freddie Herrera, man, long live that guy. And then Bobby Corona.
Yep, Bobby Corona. Oh, God, I remember him well. Yep. Yeah, so all those guys. And so when we happened to want to start booking cinema, which was the band that was kind of the offshoot of the rock musical that Mike Varney and I had, they called, and there you go. So we happened to be the first band.
First band, and you remember what it used to look like? It was painted blue with like Hendrix, Janis on there. And then later they painted it all black, but early on, that venue in the 60s was called the Matrix Club.
Right.
And the Doors played there. This famous
and
live
it was
show.
run by Marty Ballin, who happened to be the guy that did the rock opera that I did, Rock Justice. He was the co-writer of that. So, small world.
That is a small world. Yeah. I remember cinema specifically, which I want to give a shout out to Mike Varney, because he has been a great human in my life over the years.
Mine too.
Yeah,
I owe a lot to Mike Varney.
You.
I owe a lot to Mike Varney, and I will never forget that. And plus we're dear friends.
But I really remember the Guitar Wars finals. It was Ranger, not Night Ranger, but Ranger and Cinema.
That's right.
At the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma.
Wow. I can't believe you remember that. I remember that quite well. Yeah. Ranger, right.
and it was like a true battle, man.
Yeah. Yeah, because Brad and Jeff were really great guitar players, and Mike held his own back then, man.
Absolutely.
Wow, he was a great guitar player, and he was really entertaining to watch.
Oh yeah, he had that Pelham Blue SG.
Yes, 68 SG. I love that thing.
It just crushed it.
Oh, it was a beautiful guitar, man.
So when you hook up with Varney, of course, you guys run cinema for a while, and then it phases out. You move to L.A., and then Varney hooks you up with Dokken.
That's right.
And then it's just fucking on. But I think one of your strongest points, of course, is like songwriting and singing. Like you're singing in Dokken. I mean, especially now, if you were to go out, you would do all the highs and stuff. But you had an incredible voice.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I don't consider myself. I mean, I'm able to sing lead, but I mean, when I compare myself to somebody like a Robert Mason, there's kind of no comparison.
Yeah.
But I do love to sing. I mean, these days I'm actually enjoying producing and playing even more, so it kind of works well.
Right. Let's talk about those early days of Dokken. So you're in L.A. Where do you land? Where were you living?
Well, right on Fountain Avenue in Hollywood.
Ooh,
right there.
Just a noise
Half
chamber.
a block down from the Rock and Roll Ralphs. Yeah, it was great. And in fact, when I first moved there, I was living with Paul Taylor from Winger.
Oh, yeah.
He
used to live in Santa Rosa.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I knew him from Santa Rosa.
Right.
Because I knew him from the Bay Area, and he had a band called Stark Raving Mad that actually came down to L.A., and they had actually asked me to join just before they broke up. And so that was kind of a big plan that went awry. But Paul and I remained friends, and Paul had just moved down to L.A., and the night that my girlfriend and I got into town, we ran into Paul and Tom Mayhew, who also
Tom Santa Rosa,
also
GNR,
Santa Rosa and
Duff.
GNR, and was the guy responsible for the Dokken reunion 3 years ago.
Oh, you want to hear a funny Tom story?
I'd love to.
Tom had I guess at the time he was working for Dokken, or his brother was Mike, and Mike, who was a friend of mine, handed me off this board tape. Because I love Dokken, and he's like, I got a live Dokken, but make sure I get it back, cocksucker.
Yeah.
And I kept it forever. And this is back when you didn't have text. He'd call my home thing. I need that Dokken tape back. Fucking guy, I need it, And whenever I'd see him, he'd go, "Where's that Dokken tape?" It's where it became a great joke over the days.
Very good. Well, you got it?
Yeah, I bet I do down in the studio downstairs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So those guys,
and we ran into them that night. And honest to God, I mean, my girlfriend and I packed up all our possessions and just drove in her car down to L.A. No idea what we were going to do. This was San Francisco was kind of drying up as a music scene at that point. I wanted to play rock.
This?
What's that? This would have been early. It was early '83.
Early '80s, yeah. And then Motley's about to hit.
Motley has probably just put out their first record, something like that. So yeah, they're about to hit. I started coming down to L.A. in '81 or '82. So yeah, I kind of saw that. But I would come down here just to play or whatever because I was playing with a guy named Randy Hansen back then. But then when we moved, it was just like, I'm just going to move to L.A. I know there's rock going on there, so I want to go play rock music. So I ran into Paul and Tom that night. We ran into them in a 7-Eleven, and they said, well, where are you guys going to stay? And we said, we have no idea. And they said, well, you're staying with us. And ironically, that night, in the middle of the night, my girlfriend Tina, it's like, she wakes me up. She's going, he was a professional. He was a professional. I said, Tina, what are you talking about? She said, he was a professional. I go, who is a professional? The guy that was just in here. And I said, Tina, go back to sleep. You're dreaming. As it turned out, somebody had walked into Tom and Paul's apartment in the middle of the night and robbed us all.
Wow.
Went right through our stuff. I only
while
had
you were
so much.
sleeping?
While we were asleep. It was probably 5 a.m, something like that.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's some old school Hollywood shit right there.
It sure is.
That's old school Hollywood.
But here's the funny thing.
Yeah.
So we suddenly realized we've all been robbed. We run outside, and mind you, this is right on Fountain Avenue. We run down the street, and we run down to Sunset, right by where the Ralph's is and Denny's and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And we see the guy walking across the street. He's wearing my shirt.
He's already throwing it on?
Yeah. He's got, around whatever he was wearing.
Yeah.
Because it was a flannel shirt,
right,
incidentally enough. And he had one of our recorders, on his shoulder walking around.
Oh, a ghetto blaster?
Yes. And so we called the cops. Cops came and got him. We ended up getting our money back like months later because, of course, we had to go to court. But that was my introduction to L.A. And that was hello to L.A. from Tom Mayhew and Paul Taylor.
That is insane. And good thing you didn't get your bass or anything.
I wonder where my gear was because I don't remember my gear being there. My gear must have come some other way or something. I don't remember because I don't think I had big old amps still at that point. So somehow the amps must have been arranged to come some other way. But
that's wild.
Don't remember.
When you're down here, and then you and your lady get an apartment eventually
on Fountain,
and then Varney hooks you up with an audition with Don, or what's happening? Did he have no band at the time?
No. He had George and Mick. No, what happened is they he arranged for me to meet with Don, which I did, and so I went to Don's house. I had some demos of some stuff that I had done with Randy Hansen, so it showed me singing and writing. And So I played that stuff for Don. He really liked it. He wanted to talk. So we ended up spending the whole day and night together. He took me to the Rainbow and introduced me to a bunch of people. We went to a Great White gig later that night.
Oh, that's like old school.
And Mick was actually living with Don at the time, so I met Mick that day. And then the arrangement was made that they were going to come and see me because I was in a club band playing top 40 music. So they were going to come and see me at a little bar. It was in the Valley, Gold Rush or something. I forget. Anyway, so they came to see me a few days later. Of course, got really drunk and started yelling that they were going to steal me right in front of everybody. And I asked them to be nice and quiet.
Yeah.
But there went that. And Tom Mayhew, who was living with me at the time, went home with me that night. They came home with me at 2 a.m, and then the arrangement was made. Okay, let's go play. So we went and played at a friend of Don's house, in a house that, ironically enough, he ended up buying years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we had our first jam. We played for about 20 minutes, blew the power, and then they just turned to me and said, well, you want to join the band?
Now, where are they at the time of that band? It's like Ground Zero. They had the EP out, or?
They had... The Break in the Chains album had come out in Europe.
Yeah. George told me about that tour. They go over there, and then they had to escape out of a hotel.
Oh, yeah. It was pretty wacky adventures there. So they were back in the States. They hadn't done anything in about a year. And in the meantime, after the European release, Don had redone a couple of the songs. He turned... the song Live to Rock on the first Dokken album had been called We're Illegal, so he changed that. He changed one other. So redid some of the stuff, and then shortly before it was released, it was to come out in September of '83. This is all taking place in August of '83. So they were about to have a record come out in America. They had a record out in Europe. They had this deal with Elektra, and so the idea was for me to join the band. And the first thing we did was a video. I did a video with them before we actually set up to rehearse or anything. We did the Break in the Chains video.
God, no, that video is classic.
It is classic. Classically bad. But
yeah. Well, I mean, all those videos back then, if you look at them now.
Well, some people, Motley made better videos than most, but at that point, we were not one of the lucky few.
Yeah. And then you guys hit the road. I mean, I've seen Dokken many, many times, but you guys were the, super openers for everyone.
We opened for everyone. You're right. We were the premier opening band in the country, and of course, all the time we're thinking, why aren't we headlining? Why aren't we headlining? But it was part of a plan by our management. They, Q-Prime, great management company.
Oh, amazing.
Cliff Bernstein and Peter Mensch, and their thing was, we're going to open until there's absolutely a demand for you guys to headline, and until it's crazy. So. That was the plan. Unfortunately, we broke up before we got to really see it through.
It's weird that because you guys had tons of hits and you were like a staple on MTV, but it never seemed to get to the next level.
Well, we weren't at a Bon Jovi or a Whitesnake level. We never got there. We were not that big. We were big, but it was more, I don't want to say underground, but it was just beneath the surface. It wasn't that mainstream, big, gigantic top 40
It's
hit.
like you, Cinderella, these bands that had hits.
Well, and Cinderella, frankly, had bigger hits than we did.
Yeah, you think so? Because the ballads.
On the Night Songs record, I would say they had bigger hits than we did at that point. We were, and part of Bernstein and Mensch's plan for us was to build us up in a very credible way. They knew that there was musicianship involved. We were not an image band. Yeah. We were about the music. And so I think they wanted to have a long-term build. Again, we screwed it up by breaking up before the plan got to finish out.
Yeah.
But we managed to make some pretty good headway in the meantime. And, we got to the point where we could have headlined, and we did headline some shows on our own. And the Monsters of Rock tour was practically like a headlining tour. That was in '88.
That was wild with Metallica.
Kingdom Come and Scorpions and Van Halen.
Isn't it funny how when you look at Kingdom Come now, how they were just railed, and then you got Greta Van Fleet, and it's wild, right?
What goes around comes around. Some friends of mine said that best.
Yeah. That tour was crazy. It was at Candlestick in San Fran, and I remember there was only like one way in.
And, it was pretty crazy.
We're just stuck in traffic, missed Kingdom Come, Metallica, and then by the time we got up there, we're like, well, fuck, we might as well just leave now because it was like hours in this damn line.
Yeah.
It was horrible, and I didn't get to see it, but Metallica were becoming a complete...
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
They
just got
They were well on
Jason.
their march.
Yeah,
they were well
yeah.
on the No, actually, Jason...
Jason,
oh, yeah, he
he's
did
in
do
the
it.
band.
That's right,
Yeah.
that's right. Of course
Yeah.
he did. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. They were way the up-and-comers at that point. I mean, big time. You know, they had a lot of momentum.
How many dates were on that tour? Because he did LA Coliseum, I remember that.
I couldn't tell you for sure. I want to say 40.
Wow, 40 with that
But
whole
it might have been
lineup.
30-something. I couldn't tell you.
That had to be some lunacy out there with Van Halen. That was Van Hagar at the time.
and then we were, of course, staying at hotels. All the bands would stay at the same hotel generally, and we would have at least a couple days off between. You know, sometimes we would play 2 nights somewhere, but because they were stadiums, the production had to go ahead in a truck, and it took at least a couple days to get there and set it all up.
Yeah.
So we would have downtime at a hotel with all 5 bands, and it was debauchery on 10.
Oh, what was going
Every
on?
night.
Like just
Well, what do you think?
I mean, who do you think? Who were the wildest? Because it's like if you look at it, look what you got. You got Metallica at the height of their drinking.
They were drinking pretty hardcore.
Yeah. You have
really, really hardcore. We were drinking and
Dokken with
drugging.
some cocaine.
Yeah, Dokken had our cocaine. Certain members of some of the other bands were also involved in that.
Of course,
and,
Eddie. I mean, Eddie, the king of the coke.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say anything, but he.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sober now. I suppose.
There's no mystery there.
But he would tend to call my room at about 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff. You holding?
Where were you guys? You know, I always ask about like bands. I have bands on, and you're out on the road. Where do you score drugs? Is it just like
we were really good at it?
But known guys that are like, hey,
yeah, we knew people in different cities, and it wasn't like it was difficult getting it.
Yeah, I just always wondered that, you know, because I had Duff on, and he said like sometimes I would hit the street.
Well, I've heard, especially with heroin guys.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I never got into the heroin thing on the road. So
you did heroin though home?
I have done it heroin, sure. Yeah, I was. But yeah, I never had to troll the streets for heroin. That's I've got friends that have told me about that. That's when you're in a bad place.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Listen, I was in a bad place enough as it is. Just massive amounts of blow for me.
Yeah,
massive amounts. But I ended up sobering up soon after that tour.
Really?
I sobered up in March of '89, and that tour ended like July 31st, '88.
Did you hit a rock bottom or something, or were you just like, oh man?
I mean, my last drug binge, I drank by myself 10 bottles of Cabernet.
What?
And did a 1/4 ounce of blow. Myself.
By yourself?
By myself.
At home?
At home. And my girlfriend at the time, she came in and revived me, and she said, "You're going to kill yourself." And she said, "You got to do something." And I said, "Yeah, you're probably right." And fortunately, I got the right help from the right people, and knock on wood, I haven't done anything since.
Wow, that is what.
Yeah.
What were you doing? Just sitting home, freak geeking out, writing tunes?
Well, a little of all of that. I mean, I had my own band, War and Peace, which was at that point still called Flesh and Blood, and there was the whole idea of the responsibility of kind of having my own band was, I think, kind of forcing me to think about getting my act together.
Yeah.
And realizing, wow, I'm kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was spending my time putting the band together and writing music and getting, working with musicians and, doing that. But yeah, spending a lot of time partying too.
Now with Dokken, how was the writing going on? Was everybody just writing, or were you coming in with tunes and Don was having tunes? How was that happening?
Well, what would happen is generally with Dokken, George and I would get together and write a lot of music. And on some songs, we'd write the whole song. We'd write the lyrics and melodies. Sometimes we'd bring Mick in to help with the melodies.
He could...
Mick's a good writer, too.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely. Mick's a really talented guy. Very talented guy.
Yeah.
Great singer, too. But anyway, so we would, like I say, we would do music. Sometimes we would follow through and write the whole song. Sometimes we would just leave it there. Don would bring in songs. Sometimes Don would take the music that we wrote and write lyrics to them. Kiss of Death on the Back for the Attack album is an example of that. There's several examples of that, actually. And then sometimes he would bring in a whole song, but generally, the closest to a whole song that he ever brought in was probably Alone Again. It was a song. He and I got together and I changed a lot of the musical stuff and we kind of organized the lyrics together. But it was a song when he brought it in. It wasn't what the song is now, but it was real close. And then a lot of the times he would have an idea and then we'd get together and flush it out and turn it into a song, and maybe I'd come up with a pre-chorus or whatever, And sometimes Mick would be involved in that too. There was never the point where Don and George worked directly together back in the day. So I was oftentimes the go-between. But there were different camps and there was different methods. No one thing was set, but nobody ever wrote the whole thing and did it all themselves. It was never that.
That Tooth
kind of gave it a collaborative feel, I think.
The Tooth and Nail record is fucking fire,
and I think that holds up to this day the best. Myself. I mean, there's a lot of great songs on Under Lock and Key, and there's some good songs on Back for the Attack. Although we were kind of starting to fall apart by Back for the Attack
during like the Freddy Krueger era.
Well, yeah. Although we were still pretty together when we did Dream Warriors, but yeah. The Tooth and Nail record. I'll tell you how the writing went on that. George and I, during the Breaking the Chains tour, we would room together a lot. And we would bring in a couple of little amps and guitars and a bass. And we would room together, and we started writing together a lot. Our songwriting chemistry pretty much started right away. So we would room together, we would write a lot of stuff. And we wrote a lot of the music from a chunk of the music for Tooth and Nail. And a couple of the songs were written on the road during the Breaking the Chains tour. But then when we got home, George lived in a kind of a cool rental house in Orange County. And we spent a solid month where I practically lived there. And we worked every day from the afternoon into the evening, every day religiously for a month. And came up with most of the material on Tooth and Nail. A lot of the songs were finished. And I had written music to an initial version of Into the Fire, and I got that to Don, and Don wrote the lyrics and melodies to that. He and I got together to write Alone Again. George and I had written the music to a song called Bullets to Spare, and Don wrote the lyrics and melodies to that. But the rest of it was all done at that session in Orange County, and like I say, George and I and Mick finished up a lot of the songs, and it was really inspired and really fresh. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have such a great relationship with George still, is we just click as a songwriting chemistry. Just instantly.
He's a great dude.
Oh, he's a wonderful person.
I love that guy, man.
I do too. And well,
how great does he look for his age?
And how great is he playing these days? I mean, he's just a monster, and his writing is just phenomenal, and seems like he never stops.
Also, he's social media he's savvy.
He's very good with that stuff. Very good.
Yeah, I mean, what is he, 72 or something? I don't know what he said.
He's 64.
64. No, he told me.
He'd look really good for 72.
No, he kept telling me crazy ages when I saw him.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, well, how old are you?
Welcome to George.
I was like, how old are you? He's like, 72. And I was like, wait, 72? I don't remember what he said, but I was like.
Well, he might have said that.
But he looks great. Yeah. And
he's in great spirits.
He plays like fire, man.
Yeah, he does.
Who produced that Tooth and Nail?
Well, it was produced by Tom Werman.
Oh, yeah, he's great. He did the Motley stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he actually didn't finish the record, to be honest with you. And he kind of, he got very frustrated in the process. I mean, I love Tom. Tom's wonderful. But he got really frustrated. He had a hard time with Don on that record. And Jeff Workman was the engineer. Jeff Workman has since passed away. Yeah, great guy, but he has passed away. But Michael Wagner ended up mixing the record.
Another great guy.
And Roy Thomas Baker kind of oversaw that, and that was a whole fun experience as well. But Michael mixing it kind of helped give it more of the Dokken sound. And yeah, somehow I think that record is held up rather well. It doesn't even sound great. Sonically, it's not even that great sounding a record. It was recorded kind of funky, but the songs...
Where'd you do it at?
Cherokee.
Oh, Cherokee. Hollywood. Great studio.
Great studio.
And
it was, again, some of the ways in which it was recorded didn't really suit the way that it was mixed. So that's why there's some problems in there.
What were the problems with Don and Tom? Were they like just butting heads on vocal stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Tom had quite worked with somebody like Don, and I think Don had a vision for what he wanted to do. So to be honest with you, I kind of ended up producing the vocals on that, a lot of that with Don. I mean, yeah, we kind of, I mean, Tom said, you deal with him. So I would sit in the studio while Don was singing, and I'd say, okay, that's good. That's not,
Oh, man.
Yeah, and frankly, it worked well because Don and I had a good rapport.
It's so wild that Don sang on those blackout demos for Scorpions while Klaus was getting his like vocal cord surgery. I still trip out on that. I'd love to hear that. Like if there was some leaked Don Dokken singing the blackout stuff.
I don't know. I wonder.
It is wild. If you look at the records you made, what do you think was of course you think Tooth and Nail stands up the strongest now, but what do you think at the time was the great Dokken record?
Oh, Under Lock and Key at the time.
Yeah, definitely. Of course. Right.
And I do think that holds up in a lot of ways too, although the production sounds so overdone now compared to...
Super wet.
Yeah, it's very wet. And Tooth and Nail was drier, so that's probably part of...
That's why Tooth and Nail, it's like a punch in the face.
Yeah, it is a punch in the face. You got to admit that, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Randy Hansen, because when I was growing up, he was in the Bay Area. He was a staple. This guy played every night somewhere, and if you look at it, him and Beatlemania were like the first tribute acts ever. Now that you think about it,
sure,
this guy would do Randy Hansen's Jimi Hendrix Experience. And I didn't even know he was a white guy until years later.
A lot of people didn't because he wore makeup at first.
Right. And it's crazy to think about. This guy would play every night as Hendrix, and he would just kill it. How did that all come about?
It came about because he was in a band that was playing in Anchorage, Alaska. And it was a band that went on for a long time. And one of the at one point, Randy decided one of the sets would be a Jimi Hendrix set
because it was like a cover band.
Yeah, it was just a regular cover band, but they were trying to step up their game a little bit.
Kind of like Zebra, they would do a Zeppelin set. That band Zebra.
I didn't know that. I didn't remember the band, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they got so big up in the East Coast,
Long Island. I think,
up there.
Yeah. Well, Randy decided he was going to do this Hendrix tribute, and it just blew up because he did it so great. Randy is phenomenal. One of the best performing guitar players you'll ever see. And he's a great guitar player, great human being, and he can channel Hendrix like nobody else.
It's crazy, right?
It is really crazy. I mean, he's great on his own, too. He can write great stuff, and he can play great stuff, but there's just no doubt that his Hendrix is pretty legendary.
Did you ever talk to him about, like, his obsession? Because you played bass with Randy. Did you talk about the obsession of Hendrix? How did it come? Did he study him? Did he look at all these videos?
He just loved him. He was just a fan. And then I think the more he did it, the more he got into it, the more he wanted to do it justice and do it right.
That's wild.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Is he still around?
Sure. I just saw him last summer when we were when Foreigner was up in Seattle. He mostly works in Europe. He does work around here too, but he does really well in Europe. Can make a fabulous living in Europe just doing the Hendrix thing. So
is that right?
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I think about that was like seriously like 40 years ago.
I've known Randy for over 40 years. Yeah,
absolutely. Because I'm 53, and I was seeing Randy Hansen when I was 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
Phoenix Theater.
Yep. Well, that would have been early 80s when he was doing that. By the time he did Phoenix Theater, that was early 80s. But
early 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I start seeing him. I'm not seeing Randy Hansen in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, George Lynch loved Randy. That was one of the things when he found out I'd played with Randy Hansen. He had seen Randy doing the Hendrix thing like at the Starwood and all that, and he loved Randy. So that was a big thing. Like, you play with Randy Hansen? Okay, you're cool.
That's amazing. Now, you guys did a record. Was that just Randy Hansen originals? You did a record on Shrapnel? Did you do a record?
No, the record with Randy on Shrapnel It was called Astral Traveler.
That's it, yeah.
Live, I think. Anyway, Astral Projection. I forget. Anyways, Astral Projection Live. That sounds right. Anyways, and no, that was us doing the Hendrix stuff. We had already had a band that was doing originals. They were half Randy's and half mine, basically. But it was early 1982. You know, the whole new wave thing had come in. Trying to get a record deal with that was impossible.
Totally.
And the music, I mean, not only was it rock, but there was moments that were kind of progressive-y, you know, so it was pretty intense playing. So we were never going to get a record deal at that point. And like I say, so that's, and so Randy kind of, in a way, I don't want to say got forced back to doing Hendrix, but he just fell back into doing that. And I didn't want to do that. That was not where my playing career was heading. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like a long-term thing for me. So that's when I thought, you know what, I'm going to move to LA where the rock is, and it was a good decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So now, of course, you've been playing at Foreigner for a long time.
15 years.
Which Foreigner, I have a love-hate of Foreigner because I'm absolutely a massive Foreigner fan. I saw the Foreigner 4 tour.
Oh, wow, cool.
At Oakland Coliseum. They headlined the day in the green there.
Sure, I know about that, yeah.
I love the Dirty White Boy. I love all Foreigner up to 4. It's unbelievable.
Pretty strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I've tapped out because sometimes there's no original guys in the band. That's just my thing. I mean, you know, you got Mick, but sometimes he's not there.
That's right.
I'm just like, wow.
Well, but you know what? We got Kelly Hansen out there who's just killing it as a lead vocalist. And see, one of the beautiful things about Foreigner is that the music and the songs are actually the legacy of the band more so than the personnel.
Yeah, because nobody knew who was in the band.
Yeah, I mean, correct. Yeah, it was a very faceless band. And, you know, I mean, I respect what you're saying, but most, but, you know, 95% of our audience doesn't mind us going out there without originals because we do a great job of the songs.
I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying.
Yes, you were.
Well, but I'm saying for me.
And you're entitled to that, but like I'm saying, it's most people, it's about the songs and the delivery.
Absolutely.
And I got to say, we deliver.
What happened to the one guy? He was a friend of mine, Jeff Northrup. He was the original replacement for Foreigner.
No, Johnny Edwards.
Yeah, that's it. His band was called Northrup. Right. Years and years ago. What happened to that guy?
Johnny, I know that according to Mick, Johnny had a hard time adapting to the other Foreigner songs live, so it kind of didn't work live. They did tour with him.
I remember it was a big deal. Like,
here's another small world incident. I was actually working with Johnny in his band Wild Horses. I was recording their record I was actually rehearsing it when he got the call from Mick Jones to go join Foreigner.
I remember seeing him at the Omni.
That would have been 91.
I just joined Foreigner. I was like, what, for real? Like, whoa, this is like a guy, like a Fremont guy or whatever, and now he's going to go sing in Foreigner, which was really wild.
Yeah. And he had a band with James Kotak from Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
James, and it was a band called Wild Horses.
And later played in Scorpions for years.
That's right. And they had hired me to play bass on the record. And I think we were in the rehearsing stages when Johnny got the call. And then they got another singer, and it ended up working out fine. But yeah, isn't that a small world?
That is. Yeah. Now, once he was out, did Lou Gramm come back in? I can't remember the timeline.
He did. I mean, there was probably a gap in there, and I wasn't actually part of the camp at the time. But yeah, I know that Lou came back in '92. So yeah.
What about Lou, man?
Love Lou.
Lou
what a sweetheart.
I'm telling you, dude. I am a massive Foreigner fan.
Well, I mean, listen to those vocals and the records that you cited. I mean, that's some of the greatest rock singing ever, in my opinion.
It really is.
It's powerful. It's got tone. It's got soul.
Songs.
I mean, they're great melodies.
What about the songs?
Yeah, I mean, and listen, I mean, anytime Mick Jones is going to be involved, the songs are going to be great because Mick has a very, very high precedent.
Is he the guy that would write all the music?
Well, probably a bulk of it. Sometimes, like certain song feels like the first time, Urgent, I Want to Know What Love Is, he wrote exclusively. So he can definitely write everything on his own. But I know a lot of the big songs, Cold as Ice and all those kind of things, are co-writes with Lou. I don't know if you can. I'm not sure how much you can break it down. I would say Mick probably did a bulk of the music.
Yeah.
And probably Lou did on the songs that Lou co-wrote. He probably did a bulk of the lyrics and melodies. But I also know they wrote them together too. They worked together on a lot of it.
Do you guys play any of the deep tracks like Starbreaker or anything like that?
Songwriter?
Songwriter?
We do sometimes.
Really? Songwriter? Who
We do
sings
sometimes.
that one?
Mick.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, my
It's really
God.
cool. Actually, when we do headline shows, we tend to, if we have a laser show, we'll do Songwriter, and the laser show is insane when he does that.
What a tune that
And we
is.
get to jam on it, which I love. Any jamming I love.
Yeah. What now? You guys have been out doing dates with part of the original lineup, right?
Well, we've been doing dates with the M Machine, which is the band that George and I have, along with Mick Brown and Robert Mason of Warrant.
Yeah.
Vocalist. And we put out this record that came out March 22nd. We're getting a phenomenal response. And yeah, just to kind of prove to everybody that we mean business, we went out and did 3 shows this last weekend. Last show was the night before last.
Yeah, you played the Whiskey, right?
We played the Whiskey on last Thursday, the 4th. And
I was going to go to that, but I went to see Alan Parsons because I had him on the show. And I really wanted to go see. I've never seen Alan Parsons.
yeah, actually, neither have I.
Yeah.
But we did the Whiskey, we did Vamped in Vegas, and then we did a club called Club Encore in Tucson on Sunday night.
Oh, yeah.
Really fun.
Are you guys going to tour this or just having fun?
Well, I mean,
it's tough because of the money,
with
right?
everybody's schedules. I mean, you know how much Foreigner works. We do 120 shows a year. And
120
Warrant,
years?
pretty much 120,
Wow.
close to 120 a year. Warrant works a lot, so I mean, it would be really hard to schedule a tour. These 3 shows we wanted to put together, like I say, just to show that we mean business and to promote the fact that the record's new and coming out. We would love to do it some more. We'll see. I mean, again, the other bands, Foreigner has to be the priority for me. Warrant has to be the priority for Robert. So we'll see. But we had a blast doing it, man. The shows went so amazing.
Yeah.
And
do
we
any Dokken tunes?
Of course.
Yeah, what do you do?
We did, we did It's Not Love. We did Unchain the Night. We did Tooth and Nail. And one more. What am I forgetting? One more.
Yeah.
And we did a couple of Lynch Mob songs, and then we did 5 songs off our new record. So really cool set list. And listen, we want to do it some more because it was really fun. And it was very rewarding. There was musical moments that were really, really powerful. And we had Will Hunt with us, the drummer, because Mick Brown couldn't do it. So Will Hunt, who's the drummer of Evanescence, if you haven't seen him, he's a monster.
Oh, my God.
He's a monster. Great drummer, great showman, but really great drummer and great human being. So we had a blast. So I'm hoping we do more. I mean, I'm sure we will at some point, but I hope it's sooner than later.
Yeah. Now, when's the record come out?
March 22nd.
Oh, it's out. It came
It's
out.
out. Yep,
Oh, awesome. I haven't heard it yet.
You got to hear it, man.
I will listen
Came
to
out
that.
great. Getting a lot of really positive feedback, which is very rewarding, too.
What about Dokken? What goes on with Dokken? Sometimes he's out there and he's got a couple guys, and then you guys did the Japan thing.
We did the reunion in 2016, and that was just 5 shows in Japan and 1 show in America.
Yeah, that super millionaire guy or whatever had you guys play.
The Badlands place.
That
yeah,
guy's
in
wild,
South
right?
Dakota.
I'm
Yes.
gonna have Dokken.
Yes, he is. And it worked out well. We did his show as kind of a warm up. Plus, we recorded a lot of it, and then we went to Japan, which was great. And you know what? It was a wonderful tour. We got along great. Everybody had a good time. I think much to the shock of all of us.
Yeah.
But it ended up going really well. And then we did a new song, which was part of the package, and that was really great. It was really smooth the way we recorded it, and it was probably the most painless Dokken recording there's ever been.
Oh yeah, I bet, because it was just real quick, right?
Yeah, it was real quick, but it was great. Writing a new song together. It was very natural to all of us, so it was really cool.
You think any other dates? I saw there was a rumor there was going to be a date somewhere.
Well, no, it's a fact that George is going to play with them at M3. Oh. I can't do it. They did ask me, but I can't do it because I have a Foreigner date. But George, Mick, and Don will play.
Yeah.
At that show.
Who's Mick playing with? Nugent?
No, Mick's playing with Dokken, but I think he's kind of tapering that off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And We'll see. But yeah, as far as Dokken goes, Don is out there with his version of the band. And then, if there's ever an occasion where we can do a reunion thing, maybe it'll be a one-off show. I mean, there's definitely a part of me that would really love to do another Dokken record.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to do a whole cycle, but how am I going to do that because Foreigner tours so much? So can't do that, at least not now. But maybe do a record someday. That would be really cool. I think it'd be a great little apostrophe on the whole legacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does Foreigner, are they traveling with Lou Gramm right now doing 4 songs?
No. What happens is every once in a while we do, we call it the Double Vision and More shows, where we bring in the original guys. And what happens is the current version of the band will go up and do like 10 songs. Then the original band will go out and do 5 songs. And then for the encore, we all of us get up and play I Want to Know What Love Is and Hot Blooded. And it's really fun.
The original band, all the original Foreigner guys?
The original Foreigner guys and all of us get up and do those 2 songs, which is really, really fun. It's 12 people on stage.
Wow.
And yeah, those have been really well received, and it's been really fun. There's nothing scheduled till I believe it's October.
To see that?
For that this year. I believe we did 4 or 5 shows of that last year, which was really fun. And I think there's only 2 this year, but I could be mistaken.
I saw the Jones Beach one on.
Well, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I just watched that on YouTube a few years ago.
And in that case, Lou came out. I think he only did 3 songs.
Yeah. But man, just to see Lou.
It was great.
Whew, fuck.
Yeah, and he's a wonderful guy. Really great guy.
Where do are all the Foreigner guys still alive?
Well, not the original. I mean, the original bass player, Ed Gagliardi, he passed away in 2015. So he's not there. But his replacement in 1978 was a guy by the name of Rick Wills, who does come around. And, Rick played on the Head Games record and was in the band. He played on 4 and 4, Agent Provocateur, all that stuff. So Rick comes out. Rick plays bass. Ian McDonald and Al Greenwood, who are from the original band, they come out and play. Lou and then Dennis Elliott, the drummer. And it's really cool. They're great guys, and we all have fun. And there's a looseness about it that's really cool.
Yeah. So now you've been producing all your life, pretty much, but over the last 10 years, you produced quite a bit. You did Adler's record, right?
Did.
Which record was that?
It was called Adler.
And
no, the record was called Back from the Dead. The band was called Adler.
And it was original music. Yeah. Is it the same singer that he uses now?
No. That record. It was a singer by the name of Jacob Bunton, who is a really talented guy, great writer, great singer.
He's got the guy from Spain now or something, right?
Argentina. Yeah. He's amazing. Ari.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. And when they do the gun stuff, it's just incredible. It's just amazing. And he's a great showman, and he's a very charismatic kid. And he's happy as can be because obviously he was a big Guns N' Roses fan. So, kind of a dream come true for him. But he's a fabulous singer and frontman. It's really a fun thing to watch.
Who else have you worked with, produce-wise? Like, I know you did
I did the 2 Last in Line records, and Last in Line being the record, the band that's the ex-Dio guys.
Oh, yeah.
The first record, it was Jimmy Bain, Vinny Appice, and Vivian Campbell with a guy by the name of Andrew Freeman singing. And then, of course, Jimmy passed away just before the record came out. At the end of 2015.
Cruise ship, man.
On a cruise ship, that's right.
So shitty.
Oh, that was a bummer. And the thing is, but at least Jimmy went out. I mean, he was really excited about the band, and he loved the record. So at least he went out on a high note musically. But anyways, then now Phil Soussan is playing bass.
Oh, I know Phil.
And Phil's great. And so I did both of their records, and their second one came out just in February, I believe. But really great band, great songs, a lot of fun to record. I mean, it's the type of thing where I get to sit in the room when those guys are playing live, and it's just insane. It's just amazing.
Let's talk a little bit about your Dio years. You played with Dio, 3 records?
I've done 3 records with Ronnie, yep.
And how did that come about? You were just a name thrown in when they were looking for a bass player at the time?
Actually, well, Dokken had opened up for Dio, starting in 83, actually, on the
Holy Diver Tour.
On the Holy Diver Tour, we played 6 shows with them. So that's when I met them.
Yeah.
And then on our Tooth and Nail tour and their Last in Line tour, we did like a big chunk of the tour together. and got to be very close. So we all got to be good friends. Then when I pursued my Flesh and Blood band at the end of '89, I got Vinny to play on it. And, he and I have been really close friends for a long time anyways. So, I had a lot of deep connections with the Dio camp, and I've always loved Ronnie. Ronnie was always a good guy. But me joining the band was a very funny story. I think Jimmy was having some problems at the time, and he was not showing up. And Ronnie, a guitar player by the name of Tracy G, and Vinny were rehearsing.
G. Yeah.
And they happened to be rehearsing down the street. So I'm at home one day, and my door knocks, and I go to answer the door, and it's Ronnie and Vinny.
At your front door?
At my front door. And they said, hey, Jeff, we're jamming right down the street, and, Jimmy hasn't showed. Do you know anybody that would want to play bass with this? And it was so funny because I had been working with Dokken for a while. For over a year, we had been writing what essentially became the Dokken Dysfunctional record later on. But we'd been working together, weren't really sure what it was going to be. There wasn't really talk of a Dokken reunion at that point. So it was kind of up in the air. So when they said that, I said, yeah, me.
Yeah.
You're serious? Well, we're set up down the street. We got all our gear down there. We're playing. Let's go jam. And I said, well, I would, except that my sprinklers are broken, and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And Vinny and Ronnie are both really handy. Ronnie was really handy guys, like around the house kind of thing. I am not.
Yeah,
Vinny especially.
Dio lost like a thumb gardening.
Yeah, right. He's a great gardener.
Yeah.
And Vinny's just really handy in general. So they were like, we'll fix it. So Ronnie and Vinny then went about all through my yard. They fixed my sprinklers. Sprinklers are fixed. We go down the street and jam, and then I joined Dio.
That's incredible. I love that they just knocked on your door.
Well, we were friends.
I know, but
we were all good
it's
friends,
awesome, though. Like,
yeah.
You're just sitting in your living room and knock. It's Dio.
Yeah.
How great a singer was that guy?
He's the best metal singer ever.
Ever, right?
Ever.
When you were in the studio, when you were watching him sing, were you just like, what the hell?
Goosebumps. Every note's a goosebump.
It's crazy.
He was incredible. And more, even beyond singing, his musicianship in general was just first class all the way. Amazing musician, incredible band leader, and really, really, really good friend. He was the kind of friend that would give you the shirt off his back. He was that kind of guy.
It's so great.
Yeah.
That Holy Diver record. I saw that tour.
Oh.
I saw the first show they ever did, Antioch Concert Barn.
Oh, wow, I've heard
that was a weird place. It was just some guy's barn out in Antioch, and he had shows. Like, what the fuck?
Good way to start, though.
Yeah, right?
I bet they were amazing.
All right, so what do you got going right now? You got the new record out.
The Machine record, we just did, like I said, we did those shows.
And then you're going out with Foreigner?
I leave tomorrow.
You leave tomorrow?
Tomorrow to go out with Foreigner. Yeah, I just got back last night from the Machine stuff. So, yeah, I don't take breaks. Breaks are highly overrated.
Where do you go with Foreigner?
I fly to San Antonio tomorrow.
San Antonio.
So, Foreigner, I'm pretty much out solid with Foreigner into October. With little breaks here and there. But pretty much solid out with that. And then we see. I'd love to do some more Machine stuff if it can come up. But I also have. I just finished recording a project with Reb Beach and Robin McCauley and Matt Starr.
Oh wow!
That is really great. The music, it's all recorded. So the songs are done. The recording is done. Just has to be mixed and mastered. So that'll probably come out early 2020.
What's all this coming out on? Frontier Records?
It's all on Frontiers, yeah.
Frontiers. Let's talk a little bit about Frontiers.
Sure.
It's a label that pretty much is the survivor of all 80s.
Classic rock bands.
Classic rock, and 70s and 80s stuff.
Yep.
Is it a one guy that owns the label? What is this?
I think there's one guy that owns it, but they have multiple employees, and they have a guy over here in the States by the name of Nick Teeter who is awesome.
Yeah.
So it's a great label. They know what they love, and they are willing to put their money where their mouths are, and it's been amazing. Like I say, the reaction to this Machine record has been so phenomenal for us, and the social media impact has been great.
That's what's great these days, right? Social media. You don't have to rely on a record, radio play, or MTV.
Yeah, which means it's harder to get the numbers up where you wish they were.
At least
but in this day and age, it's great because you get the exposure, and I'm amazed at how many people knew about the M Machine and what was going on with that. And like I say, the response it's just been phenomenal. And that, a lot of that is Frontiers getting the word out there.
That's great.
Yeah.
What gear are you playing these days? Still P-Bass?
P-Bass through SVTs, man. That's
even.
I'll be shocked if I ever stop that, even with Warner. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
How many P-Basses you got? You got any vintage ones?
Oh God, yeah. I've got 3 58 P-Basses, a 59, a 63.
Ooh.
I've got. I have Tony Franklin fretless P-Bass that he helped me get recently. So I think I have something like 11 or 12 P-Basses and like 50 guitars or something.
50 guitars?
50 guitars and a bunch of other basses. I mean, I've got all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
You prefer maple or rosewood fretboard?
It depends what I'm doing. For live, I do prefer maple. Especially with something like M Machine, I took out my vintage. I have kind of a mock 58. It's a 58 neck and a 58 body and a 58 pickup, but all kind of gotten independently and kind of put together. So it's not like a collector's item sort of bass, but it's an amazing bass and it sounds and plays and feels like a real 58P bass. I took that one with me on the shows, and that was so much fun to play. That one is a little too bright to play with Foreigner. With Foreigner, I play a 73P bass that has 1966 pickups in it, and I love that. That's a maple neck. And my backup is a 71 with 66 pickups and a maple neck.
Both your basses that you play in Foreigner, did you get rid of the pickups, or did it happen you had some 66 pickups?
No, I replaced whatever was in it with older ones because I like them.
Yeah.
And then I'm also playing this amazing 10-string bass made from. Oh, I'm wearing a shirt. It's a company called Marvin Guitars. Keith Horn is the kind of head luthier and the owner of the company. And he made me a 10-string bass. After I saw Zeppelin at the O2 Arena in 2007, John Paul Jones was playing this 10-string bass.
Oh, you went to that?
Foreigner played.
Oh, Foreigner played.
Foreigner played right before Zeppelin.
Oh, I forgot. And,
we opened for Zeppelin.
And Tishy was the drummer, right?
Tishy was the drummer, yes.
Because what's his name? Jason was going to play.
Playing in Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah. Wow.
But John Paul Jones that night had this incredible 10-string bass. And I'd been looking for years to try and get one. I've gotten a couple that they just weren't up to it. So Keith, the owner of this company, he and I got it talking, and I said, "Do you think you could do it?" And he said, "I think I could." So I mean, he made me the deluxe, way cool 10-string bass, and I got to play that this last weekend, which was really cool.
What was that Zeppelin gig like?
Life-changing. It was awesome. They were incredible. They were so focused and so dialed in and so out to prove that they could be great, because all the previous attempts at them getting together were disasters.
Live Aid. Ooh.
Yeah, Live Aid, not so good. The 40th Atlantic 40th anniversary. So they didn't want that to happen. They were very determined for that not to happen, and sure enough, they did. It was amazing. It was an amazing show.
Did you get to talk to the guys?
Only Jason. No, but it's funny because Robert Plant actually, in the weeks leading up to it, we were in Europe, and Robert Plant lives in Wolverhampton, England. And we had a gig in Wolverhampton. So he came to the gig and actually hung out for a long time. I'd met him before. He's actually a really nice guy.
He's a god.
And he's very approachable and easy to talk to. And so he came to the gig in Wolverhampton and, like I say, hung around for several hours. That was about 2 weeks before the O2 Arena show. He was a little nervous about it, actually.
I bet.
He was just concerned that it was going to come off right, but he was willing to talk about it, which I found very charming, because he wouldn't have had to, But it just shows you he's a down-to-earth guy. He's also best friends with our manager, Phil Carson. So we see Robert around. I've never met Jimmy Page, and I've never met John Paul Jones. I'd really love to meet John Paul Jones, because I think he's incredible.
John Paul Jones. I saw him at the Roxy with them Crooked Vultures.
Oh, wow. I bet that was insane.
Just phenomenal.
I bet.
Oh.
I bet.
Favorite drummer to play with? Because you played with a lot of drummers.
Ooh, that's tough.
Somebody that you felt had the best chemistry.
There's no one.
Right.
There's just no one. I mean, because in some ways, Vinny Appice is the greatest at what he does. Tishy is amazing at what he does. Chris Frazier, the guy we have in Foreigner right now, is really good at what he does. Chris has a little more R&B than somebody like a Vinny or a Tishy, so that's really cool, especially for Foreigner music. Mark Schulman, who plays with Pink now, but was also in Foreigner for a while, incredible drummer. Love playing with him. And then I got to play with Will Hunt last week, and I'd never played with him before. And Will is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen Evanescence, but
I haven't.
He's amazing. And so it's really hard for me to single out anyone. I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah. I had Tommy Aldrich on yesterday, and what a drummer god that guy is.
Of course. Of course.
That Pat Travis shit, it's so grooving.
Hey, I was at the Black Oak, Arkansas show that they recorded in December of 1972 in Portland, Oregon, that became the Raunch and Roll live record.
Is that right?
I was at that show. And Tommy, that was my introduction to Black Oak, Arkansas, and Tommy, and he was incredible.
Well, that is smoking.
I mean, just blew my mind.
Were you living in Portland?
I lived in a town about 50 miles from there in Longview, Washington. That's where I went to high school and everything.
Were you seeing a lot of live concerts growing up?
Yeah.
Did you see Zeppelin?
I saw Zeppelin on June 17th, 1972. No, at the Portland Coliseum. And which was incidentally the day of the Watergate break-in. So
72.
So we know for a fact that the Zeppelin guys did not break into Watergate.
I tell you what, that 72 Zeppelin is fierce.
Yes, exactly. And you know what's funny? For years, I had a little bootleg recording. I brought in like my little Radio Shack cassette recorder into the gig and had a recording of it for years until it got ripped off from a boarding house I was living in. But it was an amazing show. It was amazing because Plant was still at the peak of his powers at that point. And it was amazing. And it was 1 week away from the performance that's on the How the West Was Won record.
Love that record.
It was recorded at Long Beach Arena. So it was only a week away from that. So that was who I saw. It was life-changing.
God, that's so great.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing the show, man.
Oh, man, my pleasure. This is great.
You have social media?
I do. I'm the real Jeff Pilson on Twitter and Jeff Pilson fan page on Facebook. And then there's the M Machine page on Facebook.
Awesome.
Got to go for that. So
any Instagram?
Yeah, I think I'm the real Jeff Pilson on Instagram, yes.
Awesome, man.
Please go.
Is Foreign to play in the Hollywood Bowl this year?
Not this year, no.
Anything? Greek or anything?
Actually, I don't think there's an LA show this year. We're doing a lot of European festivals this summer.
Yeah.
So, but I know we're already in the works for a huge Shed summer tour for next year. So we will definitely be around next year.
Well, it's funny to think about that, right? Like you're already plotting the next summer.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about, come on, getting the right venue and getting the tour, booked.
And the right opener. Whitesnake did the last one. Who do you think would be on this one?
Well, I've heard some of the people. I heard one act. I'm not going to say who it was, but I thought it was going to be a great package, and Live Nation wasn't interested. I was kind of shocked. I thought it was being great, but we'll find somebody great.
Yep. Well, thanks for doing the show.
My pleasure, man. It's always great to see you, and always great to do this.
Yeah, and
anytime.
Looking forward to seeing you out there. I'm so glad that you just. What a career you've had.
I'm very lucky.
From all the way to the 70s to now, just playing music.
I know.
You never had a job. Did you have any shit jobs growing up?
You know what? No, because starting when I was 15, I started working at a music store, and this was in my small town of Longview, Washington. And the owner of the music store loved me, and he was a really good guy, and he taught me everything, so that by the time I was 15 and a half, I was running the music store. He had a day job. He was a factory worker, but he owned this place. So I learned how to do books for a business at 15 years old and everything. It was a great experience. This guy was a wonderful man. And then my senior year in high school, I had the school. I don't know how I did this. I'm a good bullshitter sometimes. I had the school convinced that I should get a credit, a class credit for having, if I wrote one song within like a semester. Amazing. Which of course took me like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I got to get out early every day my senior year of high school, and I would get on my bike and I'd ride down to the music store. And the guy that we had that would open up the shop at 10 o'clock, I'd get there, maybe 12 or 1 or whatever. And then he and I would just jam all day.
That is awesome gig.
And that was my gig. But anyways, the only quote, and I'm using air quotes, normal job I ever had was for 1 week I worked at a furniture store in Petaluma, California.
Yeah, Petaluma. What one?
Wilson Furniture.
Wilson Furniture, yeah.
And I worked there for a week, and at the end of that week, I'll never forget. It was a Friday afternoon, and they had me drilling concrete, and I hated it.
Oh, yeah.
That is not my jam.
Yeah.
Anyways, and a guy from a top 40 band that I just joined showed up at Wilson Furniture, and he said, I got us a gig at the El Rancho Tropicana, which is this club in Santa Rosa.
Yeah.
He said, so you can quit. So I was like, done. and that's it. That's the only, like I say, quote unquote normal job I ever had to have. Very lucky.
One of my shitty jobs was working at Varney's house, painting, mowing lawns, and shit.
And curating his records, I bet, because he had
me. Somebody
really?
else did that. I was the maintenance guy outside, just painting and mowing lawns, and it was cool though, because Varney would always be around, like, check out this band right here.
Oh, and he's so funny.
I just got this cassette tape in. Listen to this guy play. Oh, I wanted to talk to you really quick before you go. What's his name from Varney? And you played with him.
Michael Lee Firkin?
Yeah. Yeah, Michael Lee. I remember when he was coming around, and that guy was a monster.
Yes.
Monster.
Yeah, James
player.
Kotak and I were the bass player and drummer on his
that guy
record.
was so good.
Yeah,
man.
he's
he could play
amazing.
Van Halen.
He's still around.
and
I've
shit.
seen him on social media. He's still around. He's in like Nebraska or something, but he still plays, and he's
what a player.
He's a genius.
Oh, that guy was incredible.
He was a genius, and God, we had fun doing that record.
I hung out with him quite a bit at Prairie Sun and Barney's house.
Sweetheart of a guy
back in the day, and he just was a killer, man.
Yeah,
he was a killer. All right, man. Well, thanks. I'll let you get out of here.
Thank you so much,
man.
Hell
yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Right.
And everybody, thanks for tuning in and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review on iTunes. That helps the show. And I love you guys. Candles lit.